Welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show. Good to have you here. The biggest story of last week, clearly, these wildfires, this hellstorm that descended on Pacific Palisades and Malibu and California. I mean, it looks like a bombed out part of Berlin, Germany in May of 1945. It's awful. And one of the folks that I've been following on social media for a while now that I've gotten to know pretty well, Grant Cardone, you've seen me talk to him here. He is the creator of 10X, the CEO of Cardone Capital and Cardone Training Technologies and so much more. He still has a home in Malibu, but not by much. He spent 25 years living there before he moved because of a lot of reasons we'll get to. But he's here with me on the program to talk about first these firestorms. Grant, good to have you back.
Hey, good to be with you, Steve. I wish it was under different circumstances.
Well, I agree with you on that, man. Look, you're angry. A lot of us are angry, and I don't live in California. I visited. It's such a crown jewel, or it could be. It is so mismanaged. Let's start with your house, though. I've been following you on X, and your house burned, but not to the ground. It's survived. It's right there on the coast. It's like the last house standing. You must feel somewhat blessed by that.
I feel like I'm like God's got a bubble around me or something, because the 40 homes adjacent to me going west, there's a beach line right there called Carbon Beach, and then a row of homes, a very prestigious neighborhood that has been kind of the crown jewel of the coast of California for years. And then there's a PCH. The PCH is the Pacific Coast Highway. And I've always said, again, I lived out there 25 years and we go back and forth for the last 12. So for 40 years, I've said, if a fire ever crosses that road right there, that's called the PCH.
Right.
It will light up that beach, that beach community like a tinderbox. And the reason why is because those homes, the amount of regulation by the very oppressive Coastal Commission there that supposedly controls and regulates what that coastline should look like has allowed people that have homes that are 50, 60, 75 years old. Imagine 75 years of timber sitting there that hasn't been replaced, hasn't been improved. It's waiting for one spark. And that's what happened. 40 homes adjacent to me lit up. The fact that it stopped at my house, we have no idea why I was so blessed. My family is so blessed that we didn't lose that home. So many of the neighbors there that have lived there for 40 years in their homes as primary residents.
Well, you look at some of those houses, some of those houses were like 1950s craftsmen. Of course, one spark, boom. You got 90-mile-an-hour winds and no water in the hydrants. I mean, I don't know how California charges the taxes they charge. And you have no water in the hydrants, no plan. Your mayor, it's fire season. She's in Africa. To me, it's mind-boggling at every level. Gavin Newsom, you say he should step down. It's finally, you're hoping, Grant, this is the final nail in the political coffin of Gavin Newsom. I think it should be.
I think Democrats lose the state. I think the reason Joe Biden came out yesterday and said he's going to provide 100% federal funding for all cleanup is because the Dems are worried about losing control of their last bastion, the state of California. Notice they slow rolled North Carolina during Hurricane Helene. He didn't even go there. It took him forever to actually, give him any subsidization for that because that's a Republican-held location. Here we have a mostly Democratic state that they lost points. Kamala lost points there to Trump during the 2024 election. And I think that they're actually greatly concerned that they're going to lose complete control of the state, that the Democrats in California are finally done possibly with the nonsense, the lack of common sense in employing dollars. I mean, Newsom just blew through his budget. He had one of the largest budgets in the California history. He went through all of that.
There's nothing left. And a lot of these folks, because of Proposition 103, which basically put California, the government, in charge of the insurance companies, what they can charge, what they have to pay out. And they said, well, we can't do that. We can't operate with the government explaining to us what we can sell and what we have to pay out. Can't operate that way. So they left. A lot of these folks, their houses burned to the ground. They've got nothing. There is no insurance. There is no recourse. They're never going to rebuild. Malibu will never be the same. Pacific Palisades will never be the same. I think corporations like BlackRock and State Street, they're going to come in and say, look, we can put 500 condos right here. I don't think they're ever going to be rebuilt the way they are. I mean, maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong, Grant, but I don't think they're ever coming back.
Yeah, look, this is some of the most, this is some of the most precious real estate in the country. I think it does come back I think it comes back probably better than it has ever been.
I mean, in single family homes, I think it's coming back in a different way. It'll definitely come back. It's fabulous real estate. It's just going to be very different, obviously.
The issue is that this is a deeper issue. Is the issue is, should somebody like me be able to own a half an acre of oceanfront and just keep it for my family? Should the Larry Ellisons and the Mike Milkins of the world and the David Geffens be able to own that strip, when in truth it would be better? Not that I'm a fan of BlackRock, but it would be better if that coastline was built as verticals like we have here in Miami, and thousands of families could live and enjoy those views in the ocean, not just a handful of maybe 80 people.
Well, I think those are conversations that are going to happen for sure. Look, your anger.
It would be better for the tax base. It would
Sure.
actually generate taxes so that the city could be independent of the Fed. The state of California just keeps tapping the federal government for emergencies. They love emergencies. They got $12
Sure
billion.
do.
No, they got $15.5 billion for COVID. Nobody can see the money. They spent $12 billion on homelessness, only to end up with more homelessness. And they spent $12 billion on a rail that never got built. But
Yeah, and that's the target of Elon Musk. He wants that to go away. We all know that. Go ahead.
they didn't spend a penny burying the electrical lines that no one's talking about. This is what causes these fires year after year. They're not imposing on the electrical companies to PG&E to bury the lines, go underneath. You're going to have winds. You're not going to stop the Santa Anas that roll through California every year. They weren't cleaning or deforesting. They're protecting field mouse. You know, if it's a field mouse, a smelt, if you're transgender or gay, you're protected in California.
Absolutely. You know,
Everybody else
you make a good point here that I want to make sure that people understand this. If you go back a couple of hundred years or more, the Indians camped every year on the beach because the fires came through, the Santa Ana winds came through every year. This happened. This is not a surprise. You have to be prepared for it. Now, you think it's going to cost $500 billion in a post year. I think you're probably right. Could actually exceed that. But I want to ask you about something. I've heard you talk about this. Would you ever return to California? You lived there for 25 years. You obviously have an affinity for the place. You love the place. Would you run for governor?
Well, look, it doesn't matter who runs for governor right now. If the people don't want it, it doesn't matter until the base of voters there in LA County, San Francisco, and San Diego become intolerant and have had enough and no longer care about blue or red, but care about common sense. And they want to actually change things, and they're willing to actually penalize tiny groups, because the tiny groups will have to be left out of the next change equation. Sorry. So I'm probably not the best person to be a politician, because I'm going to tell it like it is. The fringe groups will be left out of the next change of California, or California will never change.
I think you're exactly right about that. Change is in the air right now, that's for sure. I'm with Grant Cardone. He formed 10X in a variety of different ways. Let me ask you this, Grant. When you talk about agents of change, I've seen you at Mar-a-Lago. I watched you in person on stage at Madison Square Garden back on the 27th of October. What a great day. What a marvelous day that was. Great fun. You have a relationship with Donald Trump. He says it pretty straight. He's pretty blunt. He likes real estate deals, too. He wants to go buy Greenland and says we should have Panama back. Are you optimistic? I mean, we got a lot going on.
In Canada.
Well, that'd be a nice piece, too. Yeah.
And the Gulf of Mexico is going to become the Gulf of America. And I think it's called stack negotiating. And he's going to keep stacking until people are like, okay, how much of this are we going to give him, and quit resisting what they're going to give him. And by the way, it would be great for America. We should have Greenland. It is a security issue. The night you saw me at Mar-a-Lago, what people don't know, I'll give you a little piece of data nobody knows. Donald Jr. got on a plane, flew over to Greenland. Everybody knows that, right? You saw it on Instagram.
Yeah.
But what people don't know is that he put the executives and the leadership of Greenland on the plane and brought them back to Mar-a-Lago. They're doing a deal on Greenland.
Well, you know, here's the thing, and most people don't realize this. It's not the first time we've done a real estate deal with Denmark. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. In February of 1917, we called the Virgin Islands the Virgin Islands. They were owned by Denmark. America paid $25 million in gold coin to turn them into the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's not unheard of, Grant. It's just a real estate deal like the Louisiana Purchase, like Alaska, like the U.S. Virgin Islands. Let's make a deal, right?
Let's make a deal. Let's expand America. We should, by the way. If you're not expanding, you're contracting or you're flatlined. I mean, really, we've been flatlined for years. We need to grow now. America needs to grow. We need to get common sense in our leadership. That means some people are going to pay a price so that the group can win and be victors. And California is a perfect example of poor leadership, incompetence, no common sense, bad decision making, and again, wrong priorities. The fact that we don't have electrical lines buried is insanity. Go to Dubai.
It is.
Come to Miami. You're not going to see electrical lines. I'm looking out my window right now. There's no electrical lines here, okay?
Well, you know, I've met the mayor of Miami. He was on stage with you there in Aventura when we were down there back in November. Ivy and I came down. Had the chance to see the mayor, Brandon Dawson, a lot of great people on the stage, Don Peebles. I mean, the list goes on. What was surprising to me, and I didn't realize this until I heard the mayor say this, Mr. Suarez, was that the number of homicides in Miami was less than 30. I mean, Miami must be the safest big city in America because of good policy. And I look at California, conversely, bad policy leads to bad outcomes. Good policy leads to good outcomes. It's not that hard, is it?
No, it's not that hard as long as you're willing to enforce the laws. You have to have penalties and you got to have rewards. Reward the people that are contributing. Elon was contributing to California and they penalized him. So he left. Okay, I was there farming companies there, buying real estate there, raising my family, hiring people, and they penalized me. They raised taxes when they should have lowered them. By the way, that needs to happen in California. They need to reduce the tax bill to the people that live there and earn income there. And you got to reward the people that are contributing to society. You don't reward the people that are not. We do take care of the people that need homes and the elderly.
Sure.
But the majority of people that are contributing are the ones that are going to solve the problems in this country. And
you said something right there. You said something right there, Grant, that I want people to focus on a little bit. When you change the tax structure, you can either improve or injure the economy. It's very simple to figure out. You look at a state like Florida where you live, Tennessee, no taxes, no income taxes. They're flourishing. The latest state to join the group is New Hampshire. While Vermont on one side raised taxes on its people and Maine on the other side raised taxes, on the 1st of January, New Hampshire says no income tax. I can guarantee you a whole lot of folks living in Maine and Vermont right now are going to come across that border and live in New Hampshire. It's going to be just like that, isn't it?
100%. And that's what happened in reverse in California. The number one problem in California is the businesses exiting and taking their money. Tax revenues go down. Same thing happened in New York, Chicago, Minnesota. This is going to continue to happen. Okay. Now, the last thing, Steve, before I know you're going to run out of time here. I'm telling you, the Democrats have nobody to run in the next election. They're going to lose. I believe Newsom will drop out. Karen Bass will probably resign as well. You have no one. The Dems have no one. Kamala cannot come back now. There's no confidence in Kamala in California as a governor. I know she had plans to run. She will get destroyed by anyone. So as long as the California people stand up now and unite, and I think they're going to be ready. I think they're going to be, I'm done, because they lost their homes. Now it's going to be what, 2 years, 3 years? Businesses.
Well, you know, the permitting process in California, it might be longer just because of the permitting process to get something built.
Donald Trump's not going to allow that. He's going to say, hey, I'll cut all federal funding to you forever unless you're going to expedite. Coastal Commission will have to stamp everything day of.
Got to move forward.
Yeah, they're going to move forward. I think they'll move fast. And I think Donald Trump will step in and say, hey, I'm going to save the state of California. It's a great resource. We're going to do whatever we got to do to save it. And they're going to rebuild that state faster than it's ever been built. And it could be a boom here by 2027.
And too bad that didn't happen in Western North Carolina. Real quickly, though, before I move on from California, I got a few minutes left here, but the class action lawsuit, you're asking people to join you. Can you explain what that is and what your intention is?
Yeah, LA Fires, what is the website again? LA Fires, God dang it, I should know that already. But
That's all right.
LA Fires Classaction.org. LA Fires Classaction.org. You don't have to live in California to join this class action lawsuit. You know somebody that does live there. I would appreciate if people would share that and get tens of thousands, millions of people to join this class action lawsuit against LA County, the state of California, for incompetence and negligence. They knew we had a problem. They knew it. They buried their heads in the sand, and the state of California should be held financially responsible for the hundreds of billions of dollars. This could be as big as the TARP bailout.
It's going to be massive. I mean, there's no way about 500 billion is your guess, and I think that
they've been saying 50
larger.
billion. I think, guys, you can't fix 50 billion is going to be absorbed just in Malibu. It's a tiny, like 6,000 people live there.
Agreed. All right, so I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a bit about 10X and this entire ecosystem that you've built. The largest business conferences in America are hosted by you, Grant Cardone, and all your folks, Brandon Dawson, and all the great people you bring to these events are incredible. My wife and I were at the event in Miami in November, like I mentioned, Aventura to be specific. But you've got an event coming up in Arizona. You've got a big event coming up in Las Vegas. But for anybody that's not familiar with what it is that you do and how you've inspired literally millions of people to get serious about growing business and pursuing the American dream, share a little bit.
Yeah, so I wrote a book called The 10X Rule, and it was really about, and it's so relevant right now because of what's happening. People underestimate things that can happen that can set them back. I mean, you're going to probably have, 50,000 people, 50,000 neighbors in Santa Monica and Malibu and across LA County that are going to be displaced. And they will have all underestimated the amount of money, savings, investments that it took to keep their family protected. And, the big Blackstones that you mentioned earlier, they depend on this. This is going to be a land grab, man. And the 10X rule basically suggests you need 10 times whatever your expectations are in order to survive and flourish and prosper in this great country we live in. And it's a shame to me that so many people in the middle class, I grew up in the middle class. We underestimate what is needed, the resources that are needed in order to take care of our families and possibly live a happy life, much less have generational wealth to pass on to those we love. And the 10X rule is basically a plan, an action plan for what preparation people need, both from what's your target to how to accomplish that target and how to scale it.
And so that was just the beginning. I mean, you have 7 best-selling books, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 7 that I read down the list of best-selling books. I don't know when you sleep. I don't know if you sleep as much as Donald Trump, maybe less. You're on the move all the time. You created Cardone University, you 10X growth conferences. Go ahead.
Donald's more of a beast than I am. Dude, that guy is a freak of nature. When I get around him and Elon, I'm like, wow, I'm a lazy man. So
yeah, I'm a little feller. I'm a smelt. Someone save me. Yeah.
So I have Matt, unbelievable admiration for all the people in this country that work and hustle and grind and get up every day to take care of their families. We need to reward more of that. And the 10X Growth Conference is basically people that from middle-class Americans that have created success for themselves and want more success for themselves that join for 3 days to talk about business, expansion, connection, networking, and how to make the most of this great economy and this great country that we live in. It's a fantastic conference. This is going to be the last one we'll do. We've done 10 of these. This one's going to be over the top great. And nobody disputes or argues with me. We do the best business conference on planet Earth, bar no company, no group, no matter how big or how much money they have.
You said something there that when did becoming really successful in America become something that was bad? I mean, there's been this, like, when I grew up, you'd see somebody drive down the road in a nice car, you go, wow, I wonder what he does. Or they live in a big house, wonder what they do. What do I have to do to earn that? To earn that is the word. Work hard, earn that. And now people look at it and go, oh, they must be cheating. They're dirty. They've made being successful and hardworking and accomplishing great things a bad thing in America in some circles. I find that to be insane.
Well, this is not to be political, but I got to be political a little bit. This is This is what you hear from Democrats and liberals. The rich are bad. Republicans do not talk like this. I'm around these rich people, folks. I know people that these are less than 10% of all rich people in this country inherited their money. Most of them are first generation. 80% of all millionaires in this country are first generation, made in the last decade by hard work and innovation and entrepreneurship. Anyone can do this, by the way. Anyone in America, I don't care who you are or where you are. I know where I was and where I started. Anyone can create massive success for themselves, and they should be rewarded. We should highlight this. We should highlight and reward people that are successful in this country. I know I'm inspired when I'm around other people that are successful, and I'm curious, how did you do it? Okay, how much of that can I emulate? How can I help you? How can I be a benefit to you? And that includes all the plumbers and the doctors and the dentists and the chiropractors and the electricians, all the people that grind up in this country to create something for themselves and their families should be admired.
Now, if somebody wants to go to this 10th event, it's in Vegas. I believe it's in March, right? How do people find this? Tell me about it. And people are watching right now going, look, I want to be part of this. My wife read the 10X rule a couple of years ago, said, I need to read it. Finally read it. I should have read it when she said it the first time. It is a great book. It changes my mindset. Look, dude, it worked for me. And I'm kind of old and stubborn in some ways. But look, it opened my eyes to some things I already knew. Hard work, there's no substitute. Dedication and believing in yourself, no substitute. I mean, you got to be all in. And so people that are watching right now, they want to be all in. How do they go to this event in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's 10xgrowthcon.com. It's a 10x growthcon or growthconference.com. And we're actually going to do, if people don't want to travel to the event, we're going to offer it to the public, this last one, for free online. So there'll be an online where you don't have to travel. You don't have to go any place. You're not in the room. And if you can get in the room and be in the room, be in the room. It'll be a completely sold out event. We've sold out every one of them, oversold. But it's 10xgrowthconference.com. And I promise you the best 3 days of your entire life. And I don't care what kind of trip you've ever been on or what you've done. It'll be magnificent.
Yeah, we jumped on to look at ticket checks. I think they are sold out in several of the different tiers of tickets are sold out. Making it tough on us out here that want to come join you and see all these great people.
I know the guy running the event, so I'll get you handled.
Well, if you give me some tickets, I'd like that because, I mean, look, for me, it was a life-changing event, and I say that not lightly. I mean, the people in the room, the two things. When I was at Madison Square Garden, the level of talent on that stage, yourself included, around Donald Trump is remarkable. And the level of talent that you bring to your events is remarkable, Grant. And I truly mean that, and I truly believe that. I'll give you the last word.
Look, 2020, I've been waiting for a Black Swan event. California's the Black Swan event. This is going to hurt everybody. If you guys don't live in California, you need to be concerned about California right now. It's the 6th largest economy on planet Earth. Okay. You understand it's bigger than Russia. And if it rolls over, the entire country rolls over. This is probably the single biggest event in my lifetime, maybe bigger than the TARP event in 2008, wow. The housing crash. This is massive, and everybody should be concerned about it. The federal government will have to step in and pray for California, because as California goes, so does the rest of the country. And lastly, make sure your politicians at your local levels are not prioritizing these fringe groups. These little weird agendas are sapping and sucking money and resources out of our local governments. And you will end up being the victim of those decisions if you don't stand up and say, stop it now.
Yeah, you got to speak up and be heard. Free speech has never been more important than it is in 2025. That's why I appreciate what Elon Musk does, for sure, buying Twitter for $44 billion. I'm glad he had a little extra cash to pull that off, because it changed the world the way we're educating. And I want to make sure people follow Grant on X. Follow me while you're there, but follow Grant on X, at Grant Cardone. Check out GrowthCon. Ivy and I hope to be there. Maybe Grant can help us out. We'll see what happens, but we hope to see you there. I'm telling you, it's a life-changing event. And Grant Cardone, I really appreciate your friendship. I'm glad I gotten a chance to know you a little bit, and I appreciate you being here.
Hey, tell your wife hello for me, too. She's the big fan. If it wasn't for her, you wouldn't even know me.
There's truth. I got to tell you, that's true. And and I appreciate it. Thank you, Grant.
Thank you.
All right. What a remarkable conversation. There's a guy who is changing things, that believes in this country, believes in who we are as Americans, but it takes hard work to get there. I'll take a break and be back.